Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to the Reptile Barn. I wanted to talk about something today that I've talked about a lot, and I'm going to talk about it again, and I'm going to keep talking about it because I think it's super important. My topic is addressing people who are reptile hobby doomsdayers, right? Who think the reptile hobby is dying, the ball python market is crashing, whatever the case may be, right? That's kind of the way they talk, and probably really do think that, right? So I want to talk about this, okay? So first, let me read a couple statistics to you, okay, that I found interesting. First, 90 million US households own a pet of some kind, okay? 90 million. That is 70% of Americans, okay? I don't have statistics for other countries in front of me. The United States is known as a pet-loving country. We are a zoo-attending country. We like to go to zoos, etc. But even if other countries are only a smaller number than that, as far as their percentage goes, human beings like pets, okay? We just do. And people who have any extra money to spend will very often use it on pets, okay? 90 million households. So let me read another statistic at you. In 2020, it has grown since then, by the way, okay? But the 2020 numbers, all expenses on pets, so buying the pet, insurance for the pet, medical care for the pet, feeding the pet, whatever, totaled over $103 billion. That is not million, that is billion with a B, okay? Staggering numbers. So it's a very lucrative industry to be in, right? Let's break it down a little further. If you take out dogs and cats, farm animals, all that kind of stuff, just reptiles, we're not even talking necessarily amphibians, inverts, that kind of thing, just reptiles, about 6 million households kept reptiles in 2020. 6 million. And that number is actually a little bit deceptive. Certainly it's less than the 90 million that keep dogs. However, it's very, very normal and safer for the animals to keep multiple reptiles than to keep multiple dogs. If someone tells you, I have 5 snakes, well, yeah, okay, they're tank pets. They aren't needing to go for a run every day. They don't have to get fed every day. It's easier to deal with if you go on vacation and etc. A lot of reptile people keep multiple reptiles. A lot of dog people keep 1 or 2, right? So there are a staggering number of reptiles being kept. And this is just the US. This is not global. Okay, and that was 2020. All of these numbers have grown significantly since 2020. It's been over a year since these numbers came out, right? So what does this mean for the reptile hobby, though, specifically? One, there is a dedicated core of people in our country and in many, many countries that keep reptiles and love reptiles and are going to want reptiles in their life forever, right? So the market is not going to just artificially dry up, right? Something catastrophic would have to happen. We have dedicated groups like USARK fighting against, bans on reptiles and things that would make it legally impossible to keep reptiles in our country, right? So things like that are being fought every day. Right now, there's major issues going on, and we all need to be educated on this. And if you are able to, donating money to these types of things, the legal fees they rack up are just staggering. So But my point of this video is really just to address the market type ideas, right? There will not be a collapse of the market, period. There just will not. The demand, right? The supply is better than ever. It really is. I've heard that importing is a rough game right now because of the pandemic, but I'm not really about that anyways. As far as captive breeding, people are just exquisitely talented, right? People have figured out how to work with, difficult species. I've got out Starlight right now. She's my baby Savu python from GS Reptiles, my female. There's only a handful of people who've really dialed in how to breed this species, right? So I'm gonna switch hands here because my arm's getting tired. But the amount of knowledge is only growing. It hasn't decreased ever, right? In the world of reptiles. And the demand has only grown. The supply of captive bred healthy animals has grown. The understanding of how to keep them properly so that they are a happy and healthy pet has only grown. The willingness of people to spend real money on their pets has only grown. I'm just not seeing a downside here. I think what happens is, like any industry, the reptile industry changes. It adapts. Things slow down, things speed up. Some things get popular for a while, some things only get popular for a short period of time. And when popularity of one specific morph or one specific species starts to go down, the people who that was their thing, they might think, oh my gosh, the market's crashing. Well, you gotta remember, if you are a specialist who breeds max snow combos of leopard geckos, that's your thing, right? Well, what if they become less popular? Because it's an industry and it's going to act like an industry. There are trends, right? Well, maybe you need to diversify. Or maybe, if you're bold, maybe you need to buckle down and make some of the craziest new max snow combos of leopard geckos that anyone's ever seen and shoot that popularity right back through the roof, right? I don't know. I don't breed leopard geckos. I don't know the trends in the leopard gecko market. But my point is just, if you are a savvy business person, then the reptile industry is going to be a good place for you. If you are just a hobbyist who likes to see the rare and the new things, the reptile industry is going to be a good place for you. If you are just into pets that are going to be easy, friendly, not too difficult, long-lived, etc., the reptile industry has some parts of it, some niches within it that are going to be good to you. I don't see a downside. I really don't. You look at the top professionals in our industry. What does that even mean? What if it means an insurance company that sells pet insurance? Well, that's a professional. They're making good money. Good on them, right? That's not my thing. That's not what excites me. So I'm more into the hands-on with my animals. I like breeding them. I like feeding them. I like watching babies grow up. I like handling them. I'm more into the species that do well with handling and can be, become hand tame and docile and curious, like this beautiful little girl here. But that's just me. What if you are into the feeder side of things? There's a whole bunch of very large businesses that all they do is sell feeders, right? It could be insects, it could be powders, it could be rodents, of course. If that's your thing, you can be extremely successful. What if you like building things? What if you build custom enclosures? What if you like putting together natural, well-lit, the bioactive vivariums and things? That's a great market too. My point is, if you are creative and resilient so that when things change, you don't just get, plowed under, but you can roll with it, then the reptile industry is phenomenal. It is powerful, it is growing, and I want to get back to these numbers real quick. We have, 90 million pet owners, pet households. That represents a lot more than 90 million people. That's households in this country own a pet, right? Only 6 million of those currently are reptiles, okay, of those households, which certainly, as I discussed, means a lot more reptiles than just 6 million are being kept, right? But 6 million households are keeping reptiles. Let's try and figure out, maybe as an industry, how do you convince or expose more of those pet owners who already are animal lovers in some fashion to give reptiles a try? Well, I'll tell you. Things like expos, if done properly and if the animals are treated right, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Because tens of thousands of people who don't feel like, oh, I have to go buy an animal, they can go to an expo and see some of the just exotic, beautiful, spectacular animals that are being produced around the country, right? I guess I'm gonna have to dive into this controversy. People like Brian Barczyk or Snake Discovery, the largest social media influencers who are reptile people, they probably do more than anyone else to swell the ranks of the reptile industry. I mean that. People are not generally going to get into this hobby as a first timer buying a $8,000 Justin Kabilka ball python, right? Or a $10,000 Bell's Phase lace monitor. It's not gonna happen, right? And now some people like Justin Kabilka or people who produce these other reptiles have excellent social media, but they haven't targeted their social media presence to newcomers, and that's perfectly fine. They have a business model that works phenomenally for them, and that's great. Well, we need, and I will say this to anyone and argue to the death on this, we need more people who target beginners like Brian Barczyk does. And that does not mean that I have to agree with all of his husbandry practices or kissing cobras on the back of the head on a video or whatever that, you know, gets people all angry. But as far as his business model, it's hard to argue that that's essential for our industry to grow, right? Now, why do we even want our industry to grow, right? A simple answer that I think is a great answer that a lot of people are going to hate on is because of money. Who doesn't want to earn a living? Does anyone out there think like, oh, I would be happier in poverty? I would be happier working a job that I hate? No, no sane person thinks that way. You don't have to be obsessed with money or be greedy in order to appreciate earning money. And you don't have to hate your animals or misuse them in order to build your business via the reptile industry, right? That's crazy to me. People have got it in their heads that if you earn money with reptiles, it means you don't love your reptiles. And I'm sorry, but I have seen old videos of Brian Barczyk losing a beloved animal that didn't make him any money, by the way, and crying his eyes out. Maybe he had improper practices, I don't know. But trying to say, oh, he doesn't love his animals because he makes money. You can see that man loves his animals. And I could name other YouTubers as well, absolutely, who have this accusation flung at them, and it's ridiculous, okay? So, I didn't mean for this video to turn into a defense of Brian Barczyk or anyone else in that style of business. I just am trying to point out that if we want the industry to grow, newcomers who think, oh, I would love to be a breeder, or I would love to build racks for people, or I would love to vend at an expo, or whatever, or I've always been into the agricultural side of things, so I'd love to grow feeders for people, or whatever. Well, then you need the industry to stay strong. And generally, there's either growth or stagnation. Okay? And stagnation is bad. So we can't just be content with where the industry is right now and let it stagnate, because that does happen to industries. We need proactive people to grow the hobby. People with a huge social media presence. Prehistoric Pets comes to mind. They take so much crap online. And maybe some of the stuff they do is wrong. I don't know. I'm not a retic expert. I certainly don't go fishing them out of the egg the second I cut the egg, or cut the eggs before anything's even pipped and hatched. Again, I'm not trying to make this video about every controversy in the reptile hobby. I'm just trying to say there is a great need for extroverted people in this hobby, right? I'm not that person. I've been in front of a camera now on this vlog for years, and I still am not fully comfortable, right? And I don't do, lives and things like that. I just don't enjoy it. But we need people who are comfortable. We need people who are expert in getting the best quality vlogs out there and content on their animals. We need people who don't sneer at you if you have one ball python and that's your only pet, and they're like, oh, you don't even have a pet snake then, you just have a pet rock. You're not a real hobbyist. Yes, you are. Absolutely you are. If we want the hobby to stay healthy, then we have to treat other people well. So this has become a long, meandering topic here. I really just wanted the main thrust of this video to be this idea right here. Any of you who are still with me, I'm seeing that I'm over 16 minutes here. That's a long vlog for me. But any of you who are still watching, I just want the main takeaway to be, please do not listen to the naysayers who swear up and down that the hobby is dying, or that a certain part of the hobby is dying, or that it's not sustainable, or that the people selling expensive animals are only selling to breeders, and once those breeders have filled up, then there will not be any more market for those animals, and it'll dry up, and they'll be stuck with all these animals that they're not able to move, and then they're going to be secretly calling them. And it's just a rabbit hole that people go down, right? If we can add millions of people a year to the pet world, and a small subset of those join the reptile world, if we're talking hundreds of thousands of new people are joining the reptile hobby every year, and a small fraction of those become breeders, well then we will constantly be growing the market for every level of reptile sold, right? So just don't listen to those people, and don't be those people, all right? I feel like I can say that. Don't be like that. Don't be so negative. If you had a bad experience, if you had a clutch of snakes that you couldn't sell, if you had something happen that made you mad and made you jaded about the hobby, I'm sorry. But that doesn't mean that there was a problem with the hobby. There certainly are problems in this hobby, but not really with the market side of things. It's strong. It's very strong. And I will just keep saying that forever, because I expect it to be strong forever. Right now I have a snake twining in my hair. Dang it. Anyway, that is all for now, guys. Thank you so much for bearing with me. Any of you who are still watching, I appreciate it. I hope that this was fun, or in some way informational for somebody out there. That is all. Until next time, we are the Reptile Barn.